I will tell you, as the NASA administrator, I travel the country. Two things that I hear more than anything else. Number one, everybody wants Pluto to be a planet again, just so you're aware. It's true. I mean, I'm just keeping it real for you. Number two, everybody wants Artemis to be successful. It's apolitical, it's bipartisan. Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle want to see the first woman on the moon. We have an ability to achieve that now for a lot of reasons, not the least of which is the fact that the SLS core stage is complete. Let me share this with you. And some of you have heard me say this before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's important. I am the first NASA administrator that doesn't have a memory of where he was when Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin walked on the moon. I don't have that memory because I was not alive yet. That is a generational failure. By the way, we had 6 missions that landed on the moon up until 1972. I don't have a memory of any of them because I wasn't born until 1975. We have to make sure that another generation does not go by where we don't have people living and working on another world. That's what the Artemis generation is all about. That's what this generation is all about. And the Artemis generation is very different than the Apollo generation. We love Apollo. It changed history. It changed the United States of America in a very meaningful way. In such a meaningful way that just this year we celebrated the 50th anniversary of the Apollo 11 moon landing, and we had 500,000 people on the National Mall to celebrate. Apolitical, bipartisan, to celebrate. 500,000 people. As a politician, former politician, recovering politician, I can tell you I have seen 500,000 people on the mall before. They're never happy. In this particular case, they were all happy. And they were celebrating this monumental achievement from 50 years ago. And think about where we were 50 years ago, 1969. We had civil rights abuses and civil rights unrest. We had protests. We had the war in Vietnam at its peak with protests on campus. We had the National Guard deploying to surround campuses to make sure that it didn't spill over into the cities. Our country was terribly divided, and yet we could unite around one thing that changed the course of history. And that one thing, of course, was the Apollo 11 moon landing, which continued until Apollo 17. The challenge with Apollo is that it ended. What we're doing now is something that is sustainable. Something when we go to the moon this time, we will not have another generation that goes by where we don't have people living and working on another world. That is our call. That is the purpose of the Artemis generation. That is the purpose of the Artemis program. I will also say this, there's another differentiator between Apollo and Artemis. In the days of Apollo, all of our astronauts came from fighter pilot backgrounds and test pilot backgrounds. And in those days, there were no opportunities for women. Well, now we have a new generation of astronauts. We have a very diverse, highly qualified astronaut corps that includes women. And this time when we go to the moon, we get to go to the moon with all of America, under the name of the twin sister of Apollo. And she was the goddess of the moon. So under the Artemis program, we are going to the moon sustainably. And we're going to go with this very diverse, highly qualified astronaut corps that includes women under the name Artemis. I think it bookcases American history in the most magnificent way. By the way, the only way this is happening today is because we got the SLS rocket complete. Thank you so much for all of the hard work. Thank you so much for all of the hard work to get us to this point, but let's remember, this is just the beginning. We are the Artemis generation. We need to name it. We need to claim it. We need to move forward with it. And we need to make sure that everybody is talking about the fact that this time when we go to the moon, we're going to go to stay with a purpose of learning how to live and work on another world so that we can take that knowledge and information to Mars. Thank you so much for being here. Happy Artemis Day.